In 2005, I was tasked with the Manchester brand by the City Council. I had to find a way to sort of succinctly define the significance of the city. I asked myself, how did I want my home city to be understood? And there was this term, original modern, had come up in the kind of conversations with various people. And I liked understanding Manchester as the original modern city. And I felt that those values, originality and modernity, should be kind of perpetuated. They should be perpetuated in the present and in the now. And I saw original modern as a kind of route map for progress, for the regeneration, for investment, for a sense of kind of collective identity for the city moving forward. The city had been, kind of motivated by the success of the Commonwealth Games in 2002, and around about that time, the early 2000s, this notion of place as brand was kind of, in the public sector discourse, and the leaders of cities were aware of the fact that their city was effectively a brand. It was necessary to identify what that was so that you could optimize it, and by optimizing the perception of a place, you could attract support and investment. People needed to know what somewhere was all about. I always saw Manchester's role as a kind of test case for others. Manchester, historically pioneered issues of the time and gave a lead to the world in the modern age. And I felt very strongly that these were characteristics that should define and inform the city going forward. And, with one of the largest university campuses in Europe there in the city, I mean, it does make sense. The challenges were how to retain so much of the talent that was coming through Manchester, in contemporary times. There needed to be the right kind of opportunity there and centres of excellence there in the city to retain and attract, more talented people. I just thought, if Manchester's going to have a cultural festival, it's going to need somebody robust to lead it. And I thought Alex Poots is certainly a contender for that. So I talked to him about original modern. I talked about this idea that I had for the city and what I felt the city should be about. And he liked it. It excited him as an idea. And he put himself forward, or was invited to put himself forward for the directorship of this festival. And Alex went forward with original modern as a concept for a festival. They liked it, and Alex took over what became the Manchester International Festival, with originality and modernity being the kind of pillars upon which the festival would be based, to showcase new and innovative work, to not fall back on classics, which apparently is a hallmark of cultural festivals, and to basically bravely go where a cultural festival had not gone before. And he was one of the pioneers around the world of fusing different disciplines. And I thought that was appropriate for Manchester and would be needed. So Alex was able to bring, I'll call it a pop sensibility, into the kind of permutations of artists that he felt to put together. And I knew that was important, particularly for Manchester. It was amazing to see just how well Manchester took to some of those projects, and also then how those projects then attracted interest and admiration from, initially the country and then, more broadly the world. John McGrath took over the responsibility of the festival from Alex Poots and brought another character to it, actually. John brought it out a little bit more and also become more, I think there's a more sensitive and inclusive feeling about the local sensibility of it. John, I think, is very good with people and with artists, And so John has began to, I think, give the festival another kind of heart. And a conversation started about a place that would be a home for the festival and actually a production facility for the work. So, you know, the word or name factory was not inappropriate for a place that was going to be making new work in Manchester. I mean, looking back at it, it was quite a fanciful expectation, really, but not unlike the phenomenon of the festival itself, the phenomenon of a you know, a art factory or arts factory, performance factory, has become a reality, and it's there now. Unbelievably, it's there as a place where you can see the work, but also see the work being made. And I think that's really important. After the brand work and the development of the factory, there was a period where I was not very involved. And I knew about the project, but I was not connected to any of the development of it. And then I heard that they were going to have an architectural competition, and I was a little bit in dismay. And when I saw that they'd chosen Rem Koolhaas's company, OMA, as to build it, I have to say I was surprised. I mean, of all of the people in the world, there were 2 or 3 architectural practices. And with OMA, definitely one of those 2 or 3. And I knew that they'd submitted for the competition, but I have to say that I did not think that Manchester would choose a really progressive concept and a progressive practice. If they were following original modern, they should do so, but I was not involved, and I didn't think it would happen. And I have to say, when I heard that OMA had won that competition for the building, I was impressed. I was impressed most of all by Manchester. I just thought, wow, that's actually really brave. And it's phenomenal. It's really phenomenal. I mean, it itself is a signifier of intent and ambition. So it's inspiring. I mean, if you're going into a building, like into that building, to work, well, you have to raise your game. I think the great potential with the factory is to encourage production and the possibility of production in and around the city and the northwest itself. And I think that seeing into the making of the work can help open it up to people and to talent that is there in the city, particularly kind of younger people. The festival itself, and this is where the word international was really important, I always saw the festival as a kind of rotating door. It was Manchester going out to the world, but very much the world coming into Manchester. The festival was in the beginning a kind of every 2 years, this moment where a kind of corridor opened up between Manchester and the world through the medium of the broadest medium of the arts. And I see the factory as a fixed continuum of that. I see it as a kind of portal between Manchester and the world. And it's a portal, it's a two-way portal. The world comes in through it and Manchester goes out through it. And that's why I think that the production facility there is really important, and the fact that it is hopeful that it can be open to the community there, and that there's young people or young or older people there who want to do something and who then can reach the world through this place. I mean, you know, for all of my life, there was a sort of, you know, there was a tyranny in the arts, you know, that, you know, if you wanted to, you know, if you wanted to make music, you had to go and sign up to a label in London or Los Angeles. You know, if you wanted to be in theatre, you would have to go to London. If you wanted to write, you always had to go somewhere else. And you had to succumb to the tyranny of publishers and media groups. And actually, we broke that tyranny a little bit in the late 70s and 80s with Factory Records. And that's how I see that's the role for the factory, is that you can realize an ambition or a vision, here and now in this place, rather than having to leave to go somewhere else.